Santa Barbara Body Therapy Institute. I'm here with Katie Mickey, the director of this wonderful place, and I'm going to do a short interview here and learn a little bit about this place, Katie, and we're going to learn about health from the perspective of body therapy and what that means. So, Katie, thank you so much for doing this with me today.
Sure, my pleasure.
It's good to be here. Can you tell me just a bit about yourself and how you got into body therapy and a little bit about your bio?
Okay. Well, I've been the director here since '89, longest standing school owner in the state of California in massage. And I grew up in a family of health nuts, but we didn't have the tradition of bodywork. We had instead some real tragedies where colitis turning into cancer, colons removed, and transition. And that had a huge impact on me. And so when I was at UCSB and I saw this flyer for a reflexology workshop, I went to it and I was blown away. Here was the answer I was looking for. My teacher had healed his wife of terminal cancer with just taking a short weekend course in reflexology. He worked on her every day in the hospital until she walked out, having gone into remission. And here he was 10 years later in his 80s, both of them, and healthy and well, and teaching the rest of us how we could help each other heal our bodies. And so that was a big turning point for me, and I became fascinated with learning about how bodywork could help heal. I had developed similar challenges in my large intestine, and so by the teachers that I met, I learned that I had dysfunction in my vagus nerve and that I needed to release that impingement on the vagus nerve so that my whole digestive system could function properly, and how to reimplant the good microbiome from the antibiotics in my earlier years. And so anyway, I learned all these wonderful holistic modalities. I had amazing teachers like Raja Yanka who taught me Medical Qi Gong, and Phil Salimsky, so many that I'm grateful for, that I got to stand on their shoulders, and lots of green lights happened in my life in terms of doors that opened and that brought me this opportunity to become a school owner, and so this has been my passion. I've had over 3,000 students, yourself included, come through these doors, and been able to see many different people by really deeply immersing themselves in these healing methodologies, be able to transform a lot of challenging conditions, not only in their own health but in their families, and then be able to turn around and share this with others for their livelihood.
We're all so grateful that this has happened. So I wasn't planning on asking this, but since you mentioned the word, and it's a great word to get a definition of, what does holistic mean?
Holistic is the understanding that the whole body is interdependent, that we don't just have a problem with our large intestine that needs to be cut out, but instead we want to look at what's happening with the nervous system and what's happening with the little bacteria that's happening inside of the whole large intestine. So there's a relationship with the microbiome and with the whole body, in fact, and the nervous system and the muscles that might be tight and impinging on it. So when we look at the body holistically, we are looking at all the systems interrelated. We know some of the roadblocks for the flow of energy and blood flow, and we can go to those roadblocks and we can see if those roadblocks need to be cleared, so that the natural intelligence of the body can flow freely and it can make the proper communication and move the neurotransmitters, move the good food in, move out the waste products. All these things need to be working in synergy. So we don't just compartmentalize the body.
Like other sciences that divide it up into 42 different parts that are separate from each other. Wonderful. And I think from what I see a lot in the popular sort of version of holistic, it seems like it's being sold to us as, hey, try all of the above, try all these different products.
Right.
Whereas what you're saying is that it's understanding that every symptom we have is part of a whole.
Right.
So I love that definition.
Right. We want to reestablish function. Function on the fundamental level. How are we breathing? Right? Where is the blood moving? Where is it not? We look at these fundamentals. You know, what is the state of the nervous system? Are they in sympathetic, parasympathetic? There's these fundamental recalibrating that we each need to do so that our bodies can heal. Are we sleeping well at night? If we're not sleeping, our bodies are not having the opportunity to heal. Mm-hmm. And these fundamentals we come back to for ourselves and for all of our clients to help improve their health.
Wonderful, thank you. So this is the Santa Barbara Body Therapy Institute. Body therapy, what is that? What does that mean?
Well, it's, of course we have a body, right? Mm-hmm. And the body is all part of a multidimensional reality. And so we're starting with the body because it's a great inroads into what is, it's like the red light on the dashboard. We have pain in our body. We're not able to sleep. We're not able to calm down. We have we're sick, we're coughing, those things. And so that is that key into what is deeper and deeper layers within the body. So we're addressing the body. We can do that with touch.
Concrete steps.
Yeah, concrete steps with touch, and with adding topical things like essential oils and magnesium and things that our body needs to absorb. And when we bring the body into balance, the amazing thing is that the emotional state will change. The mind, our busy mind that won't stop doing its hamster wheel, all those things will change when we learn to bring the body into balance.
That's exactly what I experienced when I first took my first class right here in this room. Was the understanding that the body it's like a portal,
right,
to all these different things. And rather than being in the abstract of trying to address what's in my mind or what I call my emotions or spirit or
right.
all these things are one thing. And when I address my physical body, I can address all those things. That's wonderful, thank you. So there was a great quote from Francis Bacon. You may have heard of him. He was a 17th century thinker, writer, philosopher of science. Mm-hmm. And he wrote, criticizing science back then, that the scientists suffered from what he called the first distemper of learning, which is when we are more focused on words than matter. Mm. So I feel like what body therapy has done for me as a science is allowed me to actually have hands-on concrete understanding that surpasses any words or definitions or abstractions that I could learn from a chalkboard. Right. So I feel like for me, I learned more in an hour of silence with my hands on a body or having someone's hands on my body than I could have learned ever
with a PowerPoint.
With the PowerPoint, exactly.
Right. We do what's called whole body learning here, and so we have these five senses, right? And so much we're relying on in traditional education is again the written word, what's on paper, and taking those abstract thoughts and trying to assimilate them so that we can pass a test. And what we're focused on here is our kinesthetic experience, right? Developing that kinesthetic sense because as we, our hands and our whole field within our body is able to read that of another and able to guide us in how we need to work to help, again, to remove the roadblocks. Where is there energy? Where is there not? And how can we facilitate this, what we call the divine intelligence, to flow through and do all the adjustments that are needed?
Well, when people hear things like energy or roadblocks in the body, there's a tendency I've noticed for people in the mainstream to think that that's abstract. That, what do we mean by energy? Can you give some concrete examples of some energetic roadblocks that we find in the body?
Right. So for example, we have one of the most important nerves in the body is called the vagus nerve, right? And vagus in Latin, it's the wandering nerve. It travels from your brainstem, and it travels down through your neck, through the jugular notch, and it flows down to your heart and to your lungs and to your liver, your intestines, your stomach, and so it's very physical, and it's sending the command to each of those organs for how it needs to function, because we're either in social engagement mode where we're able to relax and make eye contact and all is well. We have that feeling that all is well, versus feeling that there's something wrong and therefore we need to amp our heart rate and our breathing rate, where we have this other part of our nervous system that's designed to deal with what we call the lions and tigers and bears in our natural world.
So we're talking about fight or flight.
Yeah, fight or flight.
Sympathetic versus
Right.
parasympathetic.
Right. So these are very physical responses that are going on in the body. Now, this nerve, this wandering nerve, can only make its communication if the roadblocks, and this is very physical, we're talking about the passageway that I just described. If there's tension patterns in the neck, right, which we call the forward head posture, then that's going to create compressions, and there's potentially subluxations that are going to be happening in the cervical spine over this tendency, and we've got tight muscles here and weak muscles in back. And so we want to correct that by strengthening the weak muscles, releasing the tight muscles. You have a really cool exercise that you share on your Substack about how to do that. And
couldn't have done it without you. Couldn't have developed it without you.
And so, but also simply with touch, we can bring the energy flow in our hands. We have this wonderful flow of what we call the auric field in our hands, and the energy emanates out from them, and we can simply release key areas in the body. Those are muscular, but they're also within the layers of fascia that surround the muscles. There are pathways of what we call qi, or energy, and these pathways of energy flow through the fascia, through what we call channels and meridians, and so when those channels and meridians get blocked, then that's going to impact the energy going to the muscles, energy going to the organs, and we want to open up those roadblocks so that the muscles can get the energy that they need to be able to change. But we also want to strengthen them, as you show folks how to do. We want to strengthen those weakened muscles. So it works both ways, on an energetic level and on the physical level of increasing the tonicity.
Right. And to be clear, again, people will hear things like, oh, there's qi in our hands or coming out of our hands, and it sounds abstract, but it's not. It's so concrete. Anyone can feel it. If we feel the warmth coming out of our hands, that's what we're talking about. And there's many different ways that we can observe it and feel it, whatever we want to call it. It's energy.
Right.
So when we talk about channels and meridians, an unplanned question here, but one of the impacts of many that I had in this room right here, I remember it, was one of the classes we had. I think it was a Tui Na class potentially, or one of the Qi Gong classes, and someone asked, how did they find the points? And you were in the room, and there was another teacher, a male teacher, and he jumped in and said, oh, well, back in the day they were going to war, and somebody shot an arrow, and the arrow hit somebody in the shoulder and hit him in a point where then the pain that they were feeling in their body went away. So they realized over time that there's all these points that can actually manage our pain. And then you jumped in and said, I don't know if you remember this, but do you remember what you said?
Probably that sounds like bullshit to me.
Well, what you said, you were more charitable, and you didn't put down what he was saying, but what you did was you replaced it with the reality, which is that over thousands of generations, thousands of years, and many generations of people sitting in silence and feeling their body and receiving this wisdom through the experience of feeling the body, we can actually feel the energy of the sky and the earth moving along these channels. And it's hard for us in our modern day to imagine that, but that is the case. That is what Chinese medicine derives from.
So, yeah, so the Taoists didn't have all the distractions we have, right? So we have, since Edison invented the light bulb, we have now a lot of distractions because we can, have the lights on and be reading, and now we have the internet. We have so many things that will keep us focused here in the mental realm, right? But before, in the earlier times when the sun would set, then we have darkness. We can have candles, but it's a time for more reflection, and so within that time, there is an opportunity to again go inside and feel our bodies kinesthetically. And if one spends this time of darkness between sunset and sunrise, one can begin to feel these pathways. And so we have a number of different ancient practices, from Ayurveda to the Taoist, where we had mystics who spent this kind of quality time and felt the meridians and the whole universe of our energetic pathways opened up to them.
Thank you. One quick second here. I just want to make sure this thing is going and good. Oh yeah. So we're going to wrap up here. But I wanted to ask you a couple more things for some definitions, if you don't mind. What is health?
That's a good one. I think the World Health Organization at one time had a definition of something to the effect of the absence of disease. But there's more to health than that, right? Health is what we've been talking about. This is when we have all the body systems working in effective communication, where we have blood flow flowing, we have the nerve impulses flowing, we have a wonderful resource of negative ions that we can get from the earth. We get we get far infrared energy from the sun. We get all these amazing elements also from the food that we eat, minerals and vitamins and amino acids. So the health is this synergy of our relationship with the planet, the cosmos, when we're in an alignment, a balance in our lifestyles, then health is the natural expression of that.
Beautiful, thank you. So conversely, what is disease?
Disease is when the body begins manifesting symptoms because it's not able to do the tissue repair that it needs, and get the blood flow where it needs and the neurotransmitters where they need to go, because again, there's roadblocks. So within every disease or pathology, there really is fundamental causative factors. So unfortunately in our world, we get a label, we've been labeled a diagnosis of this pathology, and we get a subscription for a pill. But there's not many dots being connected between the symptoms that are manifesting and what brought that on and how we can correct it. Instead, it's simply a subscription or, you know, an appointment for a surgery. But disease, from the holistic perspective, doesn't come out of the blue, right? It's not just something that we're victims of, but it's something that if we practice daily self-care, we can keep retuning our body, keep bringing our body back into balance, and have you know, a vital many years to enjoy being here in the body. So so from our perspective, we want to, how are we breathing, right? We want to focus on the fundamentals. How are we shifting into parasympathetic? Are we relaxing? How well are we digesting? All these things are the fundamentals that we look for to see how we can help another, right?
Functions
Right.
are either functioning well or they're not functioning well.
Right.
Wonderful, thank you. Mary Sullivan, is she still with us?
Mary Sullivan, another one of my mentors, she is now in her mid-70s, and so, you know, we are in contact with her, but she stepped down from teaching.
She's enjoying her.
Yeah.
Good for her.
She's
I'm so
enjoying her
glad.
retirement.
A special person who
Yeah.
made a large impact on me. And I'll never forget her definition that pain is resistance to free flow of energy. And it makes it so simple. And it's helped me so much. Anytime I have pain, if it's in my elbow, well, let me just see if I can move my elbow a little more freely. Okay, the pain is going away. That sensation of pain that I had was actually my elbow being stuck for whatever reason, me holding it there.
Right.
So when I relax it and allow things to freely move, then the pain's gone. So.
Right. And then there are the fundamentals that we need also. We need to have adequate synovial fluid within that joint, and you know, within the bones we need adequate minerals as well as collagen. And so there's fundamentals that we need to be bringing into our body, and then fundamentals, things that we need to help our body eliminate.
Right. Wonderful. So it's very concrete, very scientific, very repeatable.
Right.
Anyone can experiment with these principles right now without having to wait for some technology. We are the technology. The body's the technology and the breath is the product.
Right. So the beautiful thing about what we do is that we have what we're studying. You know, we have our own personal laboratory
right here.
right here. So what first, before, you know, physician, heal thyself, before I attempt to help another, I get to do my own internal deep dive into my own body and my own self-care and my own self-knowledge, and then from there I have something to contribute.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you are able to heal yourself and help so many other people find their healing and to heal many others. And there must be, I would imagine, hundreds of thousands of people who've been affected through the network of 3,000 people who've come here and learned over the 30 or 40 years that you've been here. So thank you so much for what you do, Katie. And for anyone watching this, please come to Santa Barbara. Get yourself a nice bodywork session right upstairs here. That's the student clinic.
Yeah.
And how much does it cost for an hour massage?
$40.
$40.
And we have specials sometimes. You can get a special for $30.
You can't find a better deal than that. And a lot of times they're great sessions and people are very talented who come through here. And so if you're just looking for a great place to come for a holiday and get yourself some body work that's affordable, you can come to Santa Barbara and experience this, and then you might find out that you feel called to stay for a class, and you might even feel called to become a therapist yourself. So come check it out. It's right here in downtown Santa Barbara, about a mile from the beach or so, maybe 2 miles. How far is it down to the beach from here?
I think a mile's accurate.
It's about a mile, so it's just a gorgeous place to be, and you'll get to meet Katie and learn so many things about yourself, and it will be a blessing for you and anyone that's in your life if you can learn these principles of health. So thank you so much, Katie.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I created a method based on everything I learned at Body Therapy Institute. Go to jingpalace.com to learn more.